Hello, my name is Mary Debono, and I'd like to introduce you to a little Feldenkrais awareness through movement lesson that can help you sit more balanced on your horse. First thing you need to do is to find an appropriate chair to sit on. So a chair with a pretty flat bottom is best, or you could even use a tack trunk. Because this is a wooden chair and it's very hard, I put a folded bath towel on it as well. So you might want to go ahead and do that. If you're at the barn, you could even use a folded saddle blanket, would work well. So go ahead and get your chair or sit on your tack trunk and we can get started. Okay, welcome back. First, just sit normally. Just notice how you're sitting. Do you feel like you have a little more weight on one seat bone compared to the other? Or maybe your seat bones don't feel lined up. Maybe one feels a little more forward than the other. Just notice that. And now go ahead and slip your hands under your seat bones. So you're sitting on your hands. And notice if one hand feels a little more squished than the other hand. For a lot of people, that'll be the case. So just pay attention to that. And then turn your hands so that your palms are down. And again, sit on them. And notice if one hand gets a little more squished than the other. And now purposely put more weight on your right seat bone. And there's several different ways to do that. One is just kind of leaning over to the side, right? Another would be lifting the left side of your pelvis and kind of side bending to the left. Okay? And there's also more subtle ways of doing it. Okay, where you can hardly see that I'm moving, but I am putting more weight on my right seat bone. So just play around with that and notice what you feel. And then do it to the left. So again, I could do it like this. I could do it like this. Okay, I could do more subtle movements as well. And go back and forth, putting more weight on one seat bone than the other. Notice what that feels to you. It's one way easier. For a lot of people, they'll have one seat bone that's a lot easier to put more weight on. Now take your hands out and just sit again. And notice if you have more awareness of your seat bones now. If there's any changes that happened. Okay. So, feet comfortably on the floor, about hip width apart. And now, just do a movement of lifting the right side of your pelvis. Very gently, very easily. That's it. Then lift the left side. You're not trying to force anything. Just do little movements so that you can notice the degree of ease. So I'm going from one side to the other now. And you may find that one side lifts easier than the other side. For most people, that will be true, so just notice that. And now take your right ear to your right shoulder. Do that a few times. Notice what that's like. Then to the left. And again, you're getting the idea, does one side go a little easier than the other? Now put your right hand on top of your head. And let's combine those movements. Take your right ear to your right shoulder as you lift the right side of your pelvis. That's it. So you'll feel that these ribs really come together. These ribs go apart. So just notice that you can even put your left hand on your ribs. That's it. And just feel that. Take your hand down and take a little rest. The rest breaks are really important because that gives your nervous system an opportunity to rest its attention and allows you to integrate the changes. So when you're ready, scoot forward again, feet flat on the floor, about hip width apart. And this time put your left hand on top of your head. Let's combine those movements, taking the left ear to the left shoulder, lifting the left side of the pelvis. That's it. Feel how these ribs now closer together, these ribs get further apart. And it may be more challenging to do it this direction, or it might be easier for you. Just notice. The important thing is to do just easy, gentle movements so that you're not at all feeling like you're stretching or straining. This is about changing things in the brain, not stretching muscles, okay? Again, just sit, take a little break. Notice if anything has changed. As your sensations of your rib cage, the front, the sides, the back, your spine, has that changed? Do you feel like you're sitting differently on your seat bones? Now again, put your right hand on top of your head. Take yourself, bend to the right, but now keeping the right hand on top, go to your left. And this will ask for a larger movement here, where these ribs really come further apart. And again, you're not trying to stretch, just do what's easy. Go back and forth very gently, bending like the shape of a letter C from one side to the other. And can you then switch hands? How does it feel with your left hand on top? Okay, these ribs come together. These ribs really go apart when I'm like this. Just notice that sensation. Take a moment to breathe deeply. Feel if you're sitting differently on your seat bones. And I would suggest you go through all the material that I've written and do the lesson in its entirety. And then come back and check to see, has anything changed? Okay? If you put your hands under your seat bones, what does that feel like now? Are they more even? Can you shift your weight more easily from one seat bone to the other? See if that's become a little more available, a little easier for you. Take your hands out. Notice how this can change how you're driving when you sit in your car. A lot of people sit more heavy on one side than the other. So just notice if you can sit a little more symmetrical. Okay, if you're sitting at your desk at your computer, if you can sit more symmetrical, more evenly on your seat bones. And of course when you're riding your horse. Because it's so important, not only to the health of your back and the rest of yourself, but also to your horse's well-being. Their performance will improve and they'll be able to move more freely as well. Thank you very much. I hope you join us again soon. Thanks for doing the Feldenkrais Awareness Through Movement lesson.